What's happening, guys, and welcome back to Devlog number 2. I'm your host BliskinX, and I'm pretty excited to share with you some of my progress, really. So as you've probably seen in my last video, I decided to make an MOBA, and I took the likes of Dota2 and League of Legends because those are some of my fun playing games. So yeah, you can see some of my progress with regards to it, and I knew that the job, you could say, a task was going to be a challenging one. So as normal, on every given Saturday or any free time that I do find, I began setting up my Trello boards and holding myself accountable for some of the tasks that I needed. I then began the HUDs. I knew that I needed to bring this in at some given point, and I wanted to make this as stylish as I could, and at the same time I could see essentially where the elements as well as the mini-maps were going to be and the variables that controlled the health as well as the mana. Then I got stuck into the mini-map, as you can see, just trying to get the icons, using some of the pixel art that I had purchased over at itch.io and using that to sort of give the game as a whole, you could say, a general look and feel. Once I started programming this up, I knew that I needed to obviously make sure that the HUDs not only look good, but essentially functioned correctly, that if the player was to move, that this would move accordingly. I then began doing the polygons, the arc loaders with regards to the shapes on the tree so that I could implement sort of, you could say, a shadow fog based type play that within certain areas of the forest, etc., would be hidden. This required me not only to add those collisions, but also essentially to add the light 2D function onto the player itself, and then the colliders, the light colliders over on the objects, so that this would give it that, you could say, shadowy look. And then if I was to appear, this still needs a lot of work, but I was playing with the concept, so yeah, you can see it really just is to get that flow that enemies will not be in sight based on the light. And then there by the trees you can see the shadows, the hidden, the dark, the blind spots. A lot of these games works with blind spots and trying to be as evasive as one can, and obviously giving that overall not only airy look, but also that, you know, that type of gameplay that League of Legends and Dota 2 are so well known for. So that I slowly began the process. This is going to be a long process because of all the objects that I'm going to have to add, such as the trees, and as well as making sure that that is interactable between players, as well as the map, so that if I was to chop the trees down, that this would also, you know, remove the shadows, etc. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done there, but we've got that down. I then began work with the animations as well as the creep spawning. I wanted to make sure that this was a lot smoother. This effectively wasn't working as well as I intended, so I ended up working and just focusing a little bit more time with regards to that and what it would look like, and obviously their spawn position. So eventually got the spawns to move, knowing that I'd have to spawn them at maybe 5 or 6 characters or 5 or 6 objects at a time, but I just slowly started testing the spawn based system and getting that look and feel and the animations to play accordingly. This obviously is going to be the most critical part of the game, is clicking and ensuring that the gameplay of right clicking onto the enemies as well as the creep waves, that this is smooth, such as League of Legends and Dota 2. It is really what makes the game really attractive and obviously enjoyable for users as a whole. So I would probably have to spend a little bit more time with regards to that. I don't have that quite, you could say, waxed, if you want to call it, as the current MOBAs. There's just so much states, you could say, that follow when standing within range, when attacking a creep, when obviously as well as attacking a hero to ensure that the creeps go back to formation. This is going to require a lot of work. So I started slowly, aggressively moving onto that, but I can see myself over the next couple of weeks really focusing just on player states as well as the player sort of animations in and around the attacking abilities as well as the creep abilities. I then realized I need to look at multiplayer. Yeah, I started getting my ducks in a row, if you want to call it that, creating a lobby. I went with the old style, you could say Dota 1, World of Warcraft type of feel, where lobbies will be created, players will join. This is just to essentially get things going. I do think that I would work with client to server, which is what I ended up adding eventually, but I knew that I wanted to not have matchmaking just of yet, but essentially filling lobbies, because the game will be new, that we could fill lobbies manually and then create games. So yeah, I add 2 players. As you can see, I ended up getting that right. So player 1 is being added, and here I demonstrate the player 2. This was a tedious process to understand, because the documentation, there's not a lot of documentation. They do have the Godot high multiplayer networking documentation, but it does require significant understanding of networks and using the UDP versus the RPCs and what is available for us as you could say developers. So yeah, you can see eventually I got the characters to spawn correctly. I wasn't quite happy with this model because this was really working on what I'd like to say as a peer-to-peer, a player-to-player, and I knew that that wasn't going to be the best route. So you can see the different, you could say, players underneath the route there. I knew this is going to have to be server-side. So I ended up doing the most daunting task forward at any, you could say, developer at this stage of the game. I decided to work with the Godot headless version and get that installed on a server. For now, I ended up just making use of WAMP, which is a Windows-based, Linux-based LAMP, you could say, installation that allows me to set up a server and then call it across its local host, obviously, and then I can simulate that integration and linking between players. So yeah, you can see I slowly then started getting the server mechanics together. Now for the first time, we can test the player that connects to the server, and the server is going to handle significant logic. So yeah, you can see I just create the game, set the players, and then but now all the values that are received for each player, because I know there's going to be so many euros at some stage, are then controlled by the server. So the server now sends through all the values, and this was vital. So yeah, you can see the nodes are syncing together. The thing that I had to learn here, which took me some time, was that the structure of nodes needs to be identical on the local environment, your client environment, as well as the server environment. That took some understanding. So you can see on the right hand side here, the little characters following exactly where I am, and it's going to keep track. So this will be a non-GUI interface, server based, but at least I got it to sync. I got it to sync with all the players, and now I'm going to control a lot of the logic, a lot of the you could say non-puppet functionality will be done client side, but I'm going to do a full-fledged video with regards to that to show you guys. But guys, as always, I hope you enjoyed it. I wanted to just do a quick little video to share with you some of my my process. And if you're new to this channel, if you could give us some love, that'll be awesome. Subscribe and stay tuned. I'm going to be doing our normal videos soon. But as always, guys, just remember, it is a jungle out there, so be safe, and I'll catch you in the next one.